Hello, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World, and I'm your host, Jargatma Tushinjargat. On the News Mongolia today, young Mongolians gathered in the UK for the 18th Mongolia Development Forum. Members of Parliament discuss rising demand for higher teacher salaries. Mongolia and China discuss mining product exports. For the news, stay tuned. The 18th Mongolia Development Forum was held in the United Kingdom, bringing together young Mongolians who live, study, and work across the country. Organized under the auspices of the chairman of the State Greatorate of Mongolia, the forum's topic was Future Escape of Mongolia, Youth Vision for Tomorrow. This prestigious annual event, held since 2005, continues its mission to foster meaningful connections and inspire collaboration in Mongolia's global youth community. The forum focused on three key themes: human intelligence, artificial intelligence, and cultural intelligence. The event took place at the University of Oxford, with opening remarks from Mongolia's ambassador to the UK, Ingsuh. The director of the Parliamentary Research and Development Institute, Bomder, delivered greetings from the chairman of the State Greatorate, Amar Baisalang, and member of Parliament, Manthe, a member of the Mongolian British Parliamentary Friendship Group, also spoke at the start of the forum.
In line with policies announced by the newly formed parliament under the revised constitution, the event encouraged a greater focus on science and research-based policy making. The forum was also a platform for gathering ideas from young people and building connections through the Parliamentary Research Institute. Based on the outcomes of this year's event, future forums are expected to be held in other countries as part of a global series.
Young Mongolians studying artificial intelligence, data science, and data engineering exchanged ideas and gained insights on integrating modern technology and innovation with Mongolia's unique way of life, especially the traditional livestock-based economy, which is a core part of the nation's identity. The discussions focused on preserving this heritage while finding ways to adapt it to the demands of the modern world. An engaging panel discussion was held, moderated by Marat Bayra, senior EO consultant at Satellite Applications Catapult. A second panel discussion, moderated by Holan Jogder, explored the evolving identities of young Mongolians abroad and their connections to their roots.
Now, for me, I'm a geologist, a geophysicist. I work on natural hazards. And some of the solutions to those, such as blizzards or desertification, which might exist in Mongolia, really require us to learn from each other. Natural scientists study the underlying physical, fundamental reasons we get these hazards. Social scientists can look at the impacts and where the vulnerabilities in society might be. And then policymakers make the decisions and implement how we might resolve some of those issues. So it's important we all work together to develop those effective solutions which work for Mongolia, right? And they might not be the same as work in many other countries.
Today I was speaking about Mongolian British identity, what it means to have been raised in Britain but also be half Mongolian. I spoke about education and how we can bring more Mongolians that have been studying abroad back to Mongolia to use their knowledge and skills to help develop Mongolia.
So today in the conference of Mongolian Development Forum, I just talked about how we can embrace the cultural intelligence with the connectivity, with connection with others and connection with the world. So how we can embrace it as a cultural intelligence. So what I want to note from this conference is there is one generation that who has two different nationalities or like bilingual, multilingual children, and then the Mongolia is ready for accepting them, and then what kind of opportunity to welcoming for that children and then for that young people. And then this kind of discussions were the keynote of this conversation, and then I'm just really appreciate that.
It is a full Mongolian event organized by Mongolian people, and it's basically about all the professional and students, researchers who is living and studying in UK, just getting into one place and getting into know each other, networking. And also I've been fortunate enough to be one of the panelists in the second session of a Youth Vision, which we talked about Youth Vision for Mongolia for next generation, and how we youth can contribute to Mongolia's development over the years. In my talking, I have mentioned about the policy rates of Mongolia, as well as foreign investors and how we can capitalize or improve our foreign investment situations for 18 moments of the heart of Mongolia.
A special highlight was the attendance of Naro Banchen Rinpoche's attendants, who offered spiritual guidance. The day closed with cultural performances celebrating Mongolian heritage and youth unity. The 18th Mongolia Development Forum once again demonstrated the commitment of young Mongolians worldwide to contribute to their country's sustainable development by merging tradition with innovation and strengthening global networks. The 18th Mongolia Development Forum once again demonstrated the commitment of young Mongolians worldwide to contribute to their country's sustainable development by merging tradition with innovation and strengthening global networks. As Mongolia prepares to expand its education infrastructure by building over 90 new school and kindergarten facilities by 2026, lawmakers are raising concerns over a looming teacher shortage and calling for urgent salary increases. The draft of the 2026 development policy outlines plans to reduce civil servant positions by 9%, prompting debate over the impact on public service delivery and the need for strategic, non-disruptive reforms. According to the draft of the 2026 development policy, over 90 new buildings for more than 100 general education schools and kindergartens will be built to improve access to educational services. However, members of parliament have raised concerns about the potential risk of teacher shortages and a growing gap in human resources.
Many students who major in education are not graduating, and if they do graduate, they don't go on to work as teachers. I mentioned this to the Standing Committee as well. I said, Mongolia doesn't lack teachers. Our teachers are in South Korea. The current base salary is 1,485,000 Mongolian tugrus. Unless we raise that, we won't attract capable people to the sector. We need to implement this policy to shift current trends.
Meanwhile, the 2026 policy document draft includes a provision to reduce the number of civil servant positions by 9%. Some members of parliament stressed that the implementation plan must be clear and not lead to large-scale layoffs that could disrupt the delivery of public services. Is this reduction targeting only positions that have been vacated, where no one will be hired to replace the person who left? Or is it a 9% cut applied across all government positions? Or is it meant to be achieved by digitizing public services and reducing the need for manpower?
It is very appropriate for Parliament to take ownership of reviewing the details of how this downsizing will take place. I hope this change is implemented in a way that doesn't result in a dysfunctional government and ensures continuity in public service.
According to the draft of the 2026 development policy document, a key aim is to reduce recurring government expenditure to keep it under 24% of GDP. Lawmakers are also urging action to reduce state involvement in business, improve the governance of state-owned enterprises, cut costs, and reform the tax environment. The policy also calls for boosting mineral exports and completing the development of industrial park infrastructure. Another key objective is supporting small and medium-sized enterprises through concessional loan programs. Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at Mongolian current affairs. State Secretary of the Ministry of Economy and Development of Mongolia, Batu, met with Trade and Economic Advisor of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Mongolia, Liu Jianji. State Secretary Batu provided a brief update on Mongolia's mining product exports and measures being implemented, and expressed interest in actively discussing these issues at the next meeting of the Mongolia-China Intergovernmental Commission. The two sides agreed to organize a working group meeting for the 17th session of the Mongolia-China Intergovernmental Commission in Ulaanbaatar in late June 2025 and discussed preparations for the session. The Chinese side noted that the Mongolia-China Expo will be organized in Khukhot, Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region, from August 18th to 25th and requested the Mongolian side's participation and support. Minister of Environment and Climate Change Otuntoya Saltang, Minister of Finance Jaflan Bolt, and Chairman of the Board of the Mongolian Nature Legacy Foundation Boldo Magwon signed a Memorandum of Understanding on cooperation in introducing a performance-based financing system in the nature conservation sector. The MOU was signed under the Eternal Mongolia program, which was established in April 2024 between the governments of Mongolia, the Nature Conservancy, and the Mongolian Nature Legacy Foundation. The parties will work together over the next 4 years to introduce results-based budgeting and reporting mechanisms, improve the financing instruments for biodiversity budgets, and update the sector's legal framework. These changes are expected to make nature conservation financing more diverse, transparent, and accountable. Here are the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Now let's take a look at weather forecast for Mongolia and world major cities. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We will see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Goodbye.